My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today we have entered the 17th ordinary Sunday of the year. For today's reflection, the church has given us the passage from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 6, verses 1 to 15. The heading is the multiplication of the loaves. This is the only miracle that Jesus had done, is presented in all the four Gospels. Here in John chapter 6 verses 1 to 15, and it is given in the Gospel of Mark chapter 6 verses 32 to 44, Luke's Gospel chapter 9 10 to 17. So the importance of this miracle is that the early church paid greater attention towards the breaking of the bread, towards the Holy Eucharistic, which is a thing very much absent or not put into practice by various denominations who call themselves as Christians. They don't have this foundation stone of Christians. This is very much important. The Eucharist, how important, can be seen by meditating upon this particular passage. The verse 1 says, after this Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee of Tiberias. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Other Gospels say he preached, he performed, and he had pity on them. Here, little differently, St. John presents, when Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, particularly to one disciple, where can we buy enough food for them to eat? He said this to test him because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered, 200 days' wages worthy of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little bit. Jesus knows one side there were plenty of people who have come to see his signs, listen to his preachings, and bear witness to his miracles. On the other side, he has his own disciples. Among them, he questions to Philip, and is telling them, where can we buy enough food for them to eat? Jesus knows by his foreknowledge that there is no restaurant, no hotels in that desert place. But he also knew that how he will satisfy their hunger. He has the means, he has the end, and as well as he knows what he is capable of. But he questions to put the disciples, in order to bring the disciples strong in their faith, strong in their understanding about Jesus. He put the questions, and naturally disciples can answer only in worldly terms, and therefore he is answering to Jesus, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for such of them to have a little bit. Yes, in that given situation where they are now present, it is not possible to provide them food immediately. But Jesus knows the ways and means how to satisfy the hunger, how to feed the people. Now we hear one of the disciples Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good are these for so many?" Andrew knew that there is only one boy having some loaves of bread. He knows that, and he knows the answer also. With that, nothing can be done. But there may be some understanding in him, some guessing in him. This Jesus, who is doing so lots of miracles, he can do something. Therefore, only he points out to Jesus the little word that a person has, pointing out to Jesus. And immediately, Jesus calls that person near to him, takes hold of those things what he has, and Jesus is doing a miracle there. My dear brothers and sisters, we know these miracles. We have heard about these miracles time and again. Now, let us try to study this miracle. Let us try to understand and grasp the meaning of this miracle. This miracle takes place due to Jesus' compassion and generosity. One thing we need to study. This miracle takes place due to Jesus' compassion and due to Jesus' generosity. And similarly, Jesus making use of the present situation, understanding the need of the people, Jesus immediately acts upon. He does not sit there an idle observer, an onlooker, but he performs an action as a doer who can solve the problems. We see in India various leaders, they know the problems, but they do not have answer for various problems. They can speak in the air, they can promise us various things, but when the action comes, entering into the field and doing things in order to solve the problems, that capacity, that mind power, that brainstorm activities, they do not have. But Jesus has that capacity, because Jesus is a man who can make the impossible possible. And therefore, he is acting upon immediately on the situation. On the situation he acts upon, and what are the things he is doing? Let us study. Jesus is here taking care of the people physically and spiritually. First, he spiritually fed them up with his words. Once they are filled up with their words, now he is moving towards their other needs, that is their physical needs. And therefore, while Jesus feeds them, Jesus does twofold activities. One is the breaking of the word, and another is breaking of the bread. And when Jesus does like this type of things, he takes the little what you and I have and makes that little into something great. That's what we can see in this miracle, that Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had had their fill, he said to his disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing will be wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves that had been more than they could eat. So here we see from the little what they were able to bring before Jesus. From the little, Jesus makes something greater, something bigger. So what is the lesson you and I have to learn from this miracle, which is illustrated in all the 4 Gospels, which lays importance on the importance of the Eucharistic, in the importance of the Holy Meal and the Holy Mass, where both the things take place, the breaking of the word and breaking of the word. Jesus put into together these two things. They go hand in hand. They live together. They are made for each other. Certain churches do not have many of the denominations. They lay emphasis on the leader, one who preaches, on the leader who is leading that particular denomination. If you go for a prayer service, for a healing service, there will be only breaking of the word. Only a particular person will be doing some prayer service. But the breaking of the bread will not be there. It will be missing in their prayer service, missing in their healing service. Therefore, they are doing only a part of the service that Jesus did. But what Jesus did is the breaking of the bread as well as breaking of the word. Both go hand in hand, go together. That's why the Catholic Church first has breaking of the word till we confess the prayer of the faithful, the creed we say. After the creed is said, we take up the breaking of the bread, and from there till the distribution of the body and blood of Christ, the breaking of the bread takes place. So therefore, here we see this action has taken place due to two natures of Jesus. What is that? Jesus' nature is compassion. Jesus' nature is generosity. Jesus is moved with compassion, and immediately when he moves with compassion, he shows his generosity. His generosity overflows beyond measure. We can see that they had only 5 bread and 2 loaves of 2 pieces of fish. Only 7. Even if we keep one each in one basket, could be kept only in 7 baskets. But it is said they collected everything, whatever is left over, in 12 baskets, which means Jesus' generosity overflows. Then from this, what you and I have to learn, my dear brothers and sisters, we need to become in our life compassionate and generous. And second, Jesus knows the situation and acts upon the situation immediately then and there. Therefore, you and I are called to act upon the given situation immediately then and there. Wait for not for a good opportunity, wait for not for a good occasion, but then and there you and I have to act. And when you and act, we have to do 2 things simultaneously at the time carry out. Well, we cannot live one with the other. And that our church does it very nicely. In all the 7 sacraments, there is the breaking of the word and there is the breaking of the bread. And that is done solemnly by the Catholic Church. Whereas the other separator brethren miss these type of things. I feel pity for them. Some may say there are miracles taking place. There are healings taking place. Maybe we don't deny them. But do the Eucharistic celebration take place? Does the Holy Mass take place? No. If there is no Holy Mass, there is no breaking of the bread and no breaking of the word. That is only a partial action. Part of Jesus' activities take place, not the holistic activity of Jesus take place. Therefore, whatever we do, whatever the action we do in our life, there should be the breaking of the word and breaking of the bread. And moreover, when we have little and when we find there is little within me, within my family or within the community or within the church or within the parish, within the diocese, we should make use of it. When we come to give to Jesus. Jesus is ready to make that something little into something greater, because he is capable of doing that one. This we have seen, and therefore the little what we have, the little talent of singing, the little talent of giving a speech, the little talent of writing, the little talent of helping others, the little talent of going and meeting the prisoners, the sick, and the people, those who want little consolation. All those things, whatever we have, the little money we have at our home, the little grain or the food that we have at our house, whatever we have can be used for a greater service. Jesus has done that one. When it was brought to Jesus by Andrew, by one noticing a boy, there is a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but Jesus made it into a greater thing. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, from this miracle, this multiplication of the loaves, let us learn to be compassionate and generous. Let us act upon the given situation without waiting for better things to happen. And let us always twofold things, breaking of the bread and breaking of the word. And let us bring to Jesus whatever little we have, because Jesus can change into or multiply them into greater actions, greater things, which will be used for the whole of humanity. Let us therefore follow Jesus, who is compassionate and generous. Amen.